Раз. Hi everyone, my name is Alexey and today I'd like to talk about open testing. But let me start from my story. I came here from sunny Iceland of Ireland, and as you can see from the picture, I'm quite happy about the rain that's happening there from time to time. In testing, I am about 10 years and have my own blog, testableapple.com, where I'm writing notes about mobile automation, mostly on iOS and Android platforms. Feel free to check it out and enjoy reading. You can contact me via LinkedIn or Telegram if you have any questions about the talk or presentation or anything in general. We'll be glad to chat with you. I work at Stream. We're building cloud components, chat and feeds SDKs. We're covering billions of end users globally. We have huge enterprise companies as well as small startups and individual contributors. From front-end side of things, we have SDKs on React, React Native, Angular, iOS, Swift plus Swift UI, Flutter, Android plus Jetpack Compose, Unreal, and Unity game engines. From backend side of things, we have Node.js, Python, Ruby, PHP, Java, .NET, Go, and other via REST API. But today I'd like to focus on our iOS project on Chat SDK to take it as an example we will consider how we can use open testing on this project. And first thing I'd like to mention is that all our front-end SDKs are open sourced. It basically means that you can open our GitHub repo and see how we are working at the same moment. And this is really cool. And let's dive deeper. What is open source? What is open testing? What's the difference between them? I took this text from the Wikipedia, but in my own words, open source is the source code that is publicly available for everyone, especially for you, to learn from it, to copy-paste it, or even to contribute to it. And open testing, it is the same thing as open source, but it refers to testing infrastructure and the tests themselves. And it's basically it. Let's take a look at testing techniques. We all know about black box. It is when we don't know what is inside the box, and we are testing it as a black box. We know about white box when we see everything that's inside the box, so we can test it automatically. And we have gray box. It's a combination of white and black. And I believe everyone could come up with any other boxes and put any color them. But today I'd like to introduce you one more box, and I'd like to call it open box. And it basically means that it contains all the techniques that you have, and you're basically showing how you do those techniques for the community. And it also contains all the tools, all the frameworks that you use, so everyone could benefit from what you are doing, and you can show it publicly. Okay, what's out there at the moment in terms of open testing? For sure, you can find unit tests out there in open source project and learn from it how to write those tests. I believe you can find snapshot tests in some projects. It's not that common as unit tests, but still it can be accessible. And for sure, you can find CI pipelines and build scripts because everyone needs to release their projects, even open source. And I was thinking it would be great if end-to-end tests would be publicly available. And this is how the idea of this talk was born, and I'm super happy I'm here right now talking about it. Let's take a look at open source advantages in general. And first thing I'd like to mention here is free cloud tools. For instance, for CI, you can use GitHub Actions if your source code is open. For security, from security side of things, you can use Snyk to analyze your dependencies. From monitoring side of things, you can use Sentry. For code review and test coverage, you can use SoundCloud, and so on and so on. So I'd like to say here that all best tools out there can be used for free if your code is open. And next point here is that bug reports are dropping from the clouds. Here I mean that generally in private repo, in private company, bugs are bug reports are coming only from testers or developers, maybe project managers. But when your code is open, everyone could create bug reports for you. It can be a problem if you don't have a bug report template, but if you could create the bug report template, the bugs will be good to understand them. And yeah, so not only you will be testing your software. And yeah, next point is that open source attracts better talent. Everyone likes to, not everyone, many people like to work on open source projects because when you contribute, your work is available straight away, and yeah, you can learn from it and do better things when you are working on the open source. And last but not least, open source is an easy way to start testing openly. And here we seamlessly come into open testing advantages in particular. And first thing is that open testing brings an opportunity to share your experience and your way of doing things with the community. Here I mean that when you are sharing something, so we usually think about it like if you are teaching someone, you learn from it. And same here, when you are writing code that is publicly available, you will deliver it in the best way. You won't deliver bad code. And yeah, you will learn from the process, and this is really nice. So more open testing out there, more learnings and takeaways for the community, and better software around the world. Let me close it. Yep, very good. Okay, next point is that it's more transparent and open your testing info is, more team members can be involved in the process. This is from my experience, and yeah, when you open things even for your team members, I mean, the testing documentation, code coverage, test reports, and so on, people are getting more involved into it, and not only developers, but even project managers could create some bug reports. And yeah, usually developers will start contribute into testing as well. Yeah, open testing requires you to treat your tests more seriously because they are publicly available. It is mostly about your customers. So if your customers can see your testing is not that great, they won't be able to rely on you, on your company, and yeah, you will for sure write tests better, so you won't allow yourself to have red or flaky tests out there, so you will treat them better. Yeah, open testing also brings the possibility to expose your testing info for the customers, so they could use your testing. It's not for everyone. For instance, on our example, we are building SDKs that our customers can use. Our SDKs are super customizable, so our clients can integrate our SDK and build a lot of things on top of them. And yeah, so they would like to test their custom stuff. And if we provide some testing info for them, testing framework or something else, they will be really happy. And yeah, again, last but not least, open testing is your public CV. So if you're a software engineer and test and writing tests, your future interviewers will be able to see your code, see your project, and instead of asking you some tricky questions on the interview, they will ask you about your projects, why you did things that way or another way. So this is really true. So just think about it. And yeah, open testing risks, nothing here without risks. And first thing is that it is credential leaks. So if your code is open and you leave some tokens or passwords in the code, they will be publicly available and everyone could expose them. And even if you remove them from source code but forget to remove them from Git history or CI logs, they can be accessible during years. Like in 10 years, someone find your GitHub token in CI logs and could execute it. So this is not great, and we should be aware of that. Another risk is backdoors on production builds. Here I mean that if you have some backdoors on your builds, in automation testing, and they can be accessible through your production builds. Like if you're building mobile apps and have some backdoors in automation testing and code is publicly available, someone could execute those backdoors in the app from App Store or Play Store. So just don't do that, or don't use these backdoors in production. Next thing is that your customers can see if your testing is useless or you have insufficient coverage. I already said that in advantage section, but I'd like to mention it in the risks, because if your tests are not great or you're not covering some test cases that your customers would like you to cover, it could jeopardize your company and yourself as a tester. And so just your customers can see if your tests are bad, and this is a risk. So it's better if your customers will be happy about your testing. Okay, now tricky questions and vague answers. This is just for me to not answer such questions in the end. Is open source project a requirement for open testing? Not really. I mean, you can extract some or all of your testing infrastructure in a separate repo and open it. It can be super complicated from the beginning, and here we are coming to the next question: where to start if you don't know how to do that, or you just say, I can't do that, my project is not available for that. This is true for sure. And if you can't just open it straight away, then first of all, share everything with your team, and then on the company level. If you share everything with the team, it is somehow already open testing. If you share it on the company level, you will have a lot of great insights on the company level, so other guys from other teams or high management could see what you're doing and could bring a lot of great insights. And then, for instance, share test reports or coverage percentage publicly, even maybe share some internal frameworks or tooling publicly if you can do that. This is also open testing, and the community will really benefit from it, and you for sure as well. And the trickiest question, why should you do that? And the answer will be as vague as possible. Just trust me. I'm just kidding. For more details, check out my slide with advantages of open testing. But in short, it promotes yourself as an engineer and your company as the company that's open for their customers, and they can show how they're testing things. Okay, we just took a look at open testing and open source in general. Let's see what we are doing on our project and briefly go through our development process. So we are writing code in Swift. I'm talking about Chat SDK on iOS. We store our source code in GitHub, and we are using GitHub Actions as our CI service. And we are using Fastlane to wrap all the scripts and tooling that we are using. And we are writing tests in XCTest. It's a native framework on Apple to write UI and unit tests. And we're using Alter-Pesotskiy to store our test reports. And here we're releasing our SDKs in 3 directions. The first one is Swift Package Manager. It's a native package manager on Apple. And also we are delivering our SDKs to CacaoPods and Carthage. Carthage is not that popular these days. CacaoPods still popular. So we have just some customers on Carthage, and if they stop using Carthage, we will probably stop delivering SDKs to Carthage. Okay, how we test openly. Our UI testing approach. As you remember, I'm talking about Chat SDK, and we need two users to communicate with each other to test chat. For that, we created a mock server, so it mocks the real backend. So we are testing only front-end SDKs here, and it lives inside the tests. So this is the diagram. We have StreamChat, our device with our demo app that contains our SDK. We, as I said, created mock server, and they communicate with each other in 2 directions, through HTTP connection and WebSocket connection. We also have 3 robots: backend robot, participant robot, and user robot. Backend robot is there to set up the server itself through the tests. User robot just clicks and types text in UI of our demo app, and participant robot is there to communicate, to emulate the participant. So it communicates with mock server through WebSocket protocol. And yeah, they both, participant robot and mock server, use JSON files as templates to mock the real backend. Some facts about the mock server: it lives on localhost, so nor the app and the server know something about the internet, so they live in the localhost. And mock server lives inside the tests, so we are starting the mock server prior to the test and stopping the server straight after the test, so the tests don't interrupt with each other. Okay, test example. As you can see in the left corner, I will leave the links to source files, so you will have everything in the context when you have the slides. So when you click on the link, you will just jump on our source code in GitHub. Okay, yeah, as you can see on the picture, we are using given when then, but under the hood, it's just a wrapper on XCT context of XCT test framework. It helps us to print this text in the logs, and it also helps to show the steps in Alter-Stops. So the first step is that user opens the channel. So for us, it's user robot. It executes method login. For us, it just click the start button and it initializes the chat. And then it opens the channel. We have the list of the channels, and it clicks on the channel with provided index. Right now it's default one, and default one is 0. So it clicks on the first channel. And when participant sends a message, so we're using participant robot, and it sends the message, provided message. And then the message, we are checking that the message is delivered and contains the right text. Then again, when user sends a message, so user robot sends a message and types in the composer and taps on the send button, and we are checking that the message was delivered and it contains the right text. Usually we don't use 2 then in one test, but I just wanted to show you more features in one test, so I added the second then here. Okay, I bet you don't see anything here. Don't worry, I will zoom it in. This is our pipeline, so we can take a look at the test now at the pipeline. So the first thing is name of the pipeline. I decided to take cron checks as an example, and as you can see, we are running our cron checks every night at 3 a.m. Then the name of the job and the strategy. So you can see that we are using Matrix and running cron checks on all supported iOS versions. It is from 12 till the latest one. Right now it's 16, but I didn't update the slide. And we are running it on macOS 12. And we have 2 environment variables, GitHub token and Allure token. They are kept in the secrets, so no one has access to them. Okay, steps. First of all, we are checking out our repo, and we are using our custom action Bootstrap to install all the tools and services that we need prior to the tests. Then we are setting up the runtime. If we are using the latest iOS version, we don't need to install the runtime. If some older iOS versions, we need to install the simulator. Then we are launching Alter-Stops. As I said, everything is wrapped up in Fastlane. So under the hood, we are running Allure API to start the launch. Then we are running the tests again through Fastlane, providing 2 environment variables, cron and iOS version. And then, depends on the result of the tests. If the test succeeded or failed, we are uploading the results to Alter-Stops. And if the launch was cancelled, the job was cancelled on GitHub, we are removing the created launch. So we just don't need the results of cancelled job. Okay, here is our dashboard on Alter-Stops. It is pretty small, no need to try to understand something there, but Just wanted to show how it looks like and attach the Allure file so you will be able to take a look at our Fastlane wrapper on Allure desktops. The only thing I'd like to say here that it's not publicly available. Allure desktops doesn't have this option to publicly show the projects, even if you tick the box public project. But we looking forward this feature to be released, so we will be able to open everything in terms of our testing. Next tool that we are using is SonarCloud. It's publicly available. Again, Sonar file is there, just check it out. As you can see, we have pretty good test coverage, 89%, and we are trying to bump the bar on every pull request. We have pretty low level of duplication, just 1.1%, but you can see that we have quite a lot of code smells. Not all of them are code smells from our perspective, but we didn't configure SonarCloud to not consider them as code smells yet. And yeah. Another tool is Emerge Tools. It really helps us to observe the size of our SDKs. So we are integrating SDKs into demo app and uploading demo app to Emerge Tools, and it says on every pull request if our size of the app was increased, and then we will consider what to do with it, because if our SDK becomes heavier, our customers won't be happy because they're integrating it in their apps, and if their apps becoming huger, it's not great for them. Next tool is Danger. It's not really about testing, but I think it is. It checks the commits, it checks the pull request itself, the description of it, and it checks the size of the pull request. So if the pull request is huge enough, like 500 lines, we will consider it as a big pull request, and Danger will throw a warning, like try to reduce it, and it also will take a look at the description of the pull request, and if all the required boxes were ticked, it's fine. If some of the required boxes weren't ticked, then it will throw a warning. And if we changed the source code but didn't update the changelog, it also says that we need to update the changelog. Check out the Danger file if you'd like to find out more about it. Okay, next steps for us in terms of open testing. It is increasing test coverage. It's pretty trivial. Everyone would like to increase their testing. And yeah, the next point is we'd like to expose our testing info for the customers. I already said that all our customers will benefit from it, so they could test their custom things on top of our SDKs. We didn't do that yet, and it's because of the third point, because we don't have documentation for all the methods of our testing framework. As soon as we do that, we will be able to share the testing framework with our customers. And we're really looking forward to it. We already had some requests from our customers about it. Okay, just to recap, open testing doesn't require an open source project and to open everything. As I said, feel free to start from simple things like share everything with the team, share everything on the company level, then try to maybe open your test reports or testing coverage. If you have some testing framework that you can extract from your automation tests and integrate it from another repo, everyone will benefit from it, you and the community, and you will also have some bug reports from the community coming to that framework. And yeah, in turn, open testing brings free cloud tools, best cloud tools, for instance, our cloud. Then it also brings an opportunity to share your experience with the community and possibility to expose your testing info for the customers. Again, it's not for everyone, but on our example, you could think how it can work for you. And yeah, open testing brings transparency and publicity. Here I mean that you can share it, you can link it, you can reuse it. For instance, your friend asked you, how did you do that thing? How are you testing this? And you just send a link to them, like see, I'm doing it this way. It's super easy. And even if you change the company and you'd like to see how you did things previously in another company, your testing was open, you can just open it, copy paste it, just take a look how it worked. And yeah, open testing is your public CV, don't forget about it. You will be quite surprised how it can help in the future interviews. And yeah, open testing brings happiness. Just take a look at me and yeah, check it out if you don't trust me. References. Yeah, just put all the links that helped me to create these slides, this presentation, or I thought they could be useful for you if you'd like to know more about open source and open testing. No need to type all the links or take a picture, just use the QR code so you will access the Google Slides and can take a look at everything, even jump on those source code. So yes, I want to take a photo. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Cool, all good. And yeah, I'd just like in the end say that let's test openly and let's make our community through. Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for the great speech, Alexey. Is there any questions? Okay.
Thank you. You have talked about that open testing doesn't require open source project, but can we determine that open source test codes really require open testing? Or we can just skip this part and test open source project without open testing. And second one, when we talk about open testing, do we mean that it is only automation, automated testing, or we can do it also in manual? Thank you.
Nice questions. So the first question was about open source, if it requires open testing. I think so. You can test open source without hiding things. So probably, I mean, you can create some separate repo, and for instance, in our case, we could use Appium in separate repo and hide it. I mean, make it private, but it doesn't really make sense. So if your source code is open, it's better if your testing is open. If I correctly understood your question. And the second question was about, could you repeat?
Manual testing and automation testing.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we understand open testing as an automation?
You can extract it. I mean, for instance, you have test trail or something else. If you can open it and your customers will see your manual tests, everyone will benefit from it. I just don't know if those tools can be accessed publicly. If they can, this is great, just do that. But yeah.
For test trail, I'm not sure it's possible to give access because it requires users to be registered there. So you should have user as a client. Mostly they don't use it, from my experience. We grant them accesses, but they don't come and see test runs, test reports. They prefer just some slides or I don't know, something visual, but they don't go deeper and look through the test cases that are designed in test trail. So open testing means sharing your materials and whatever you have for testing purposes with the client, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, on our example, we used Alter stops for both manual and automation tests. As soon as they released that feature, so we could open our project, everyone could see our manual tests as well as automated tests. So yeah.
Okay, the next question.
Hello. Thank you for the presentation. And my question is about open source code and open source testing, open testing, yeah, like both together. Imagine you have an open source project and you receive a bug for it. And you have the open testing framework and you are testing it, yeah? But you receive a bug from a known customer, for example. What would you feel? A happiness that someone is using your open code software, or just a failure like, I missed that bug?
Not sure about happiness when receiving the box because it means that your power is not great. But yeah, we like when our customers or unknown customers create the bug reports in our GitHub repo because yeah, they're testing our software, so they're doing my work, and yeah.
Okay, great. Any other questions? So I suppose that's it. I would like to remind you that you have a voucher that you can give to any of other participants for the best question.
Good.
Yeah.
I'd like to be here.
Congratulations.
Thank you for the questions.
Yeah, thanks, Alexey. I think that's all.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.